Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. They'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. They'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand the truth.
Radio. Good morning, Earthlings. Welcome to First Contact Radio. How you doing today? Things off to a good start? I hope that they are. Let's jump into it, see what we're dealing with here. Today's the 5th of December. Thursday, the 5th of December. All right, we have a moon sign in Capricorn. Like yesterday, Capricorn is about practicality. Okay, it's the fire, the water, the air that we bring down into the earthly form. But remember, in the earthly form, we don't want to get caught up that the earthly form is all that there is. We want to understand that the earthly form, and remember that the earthly form is made up of the fire, the water, the air. So we look deeper than the physical appearance to see what's really making up that final product. So we're taught not to get caught up in the illusion of the physical things, to look deeper. Okay, this is the lesson of Capricorn. And the sun sign is Sagittarius, which is a fire sign about truthfulness. So we've got the fire of Sagittarius and the earth of Capricorn, fire and earth working together. Okay, fire and earth can work together nicely, or they could work together destructively. Depends how we balance out and use those energies. Later this evening, we have an aspect, a triangle, a trine between Capricorn and Mars. A trine means a good positive flow of energy between these different aspects. Mars being the planet of aggression or energy or life force. It is the type of energy, Mars energy is one that either becomes very creative and passionate or becomes very destructive and warlike. Depends on which way we use it. Here we have a nice positive aspect showing that that energy is in positive aspect with the practical way in which we look at energy. Because there's a triangle that suggests a possibility that maybe we do look past the illusion to see what's really going on and find a creative way to really express our energies as opposed to anything destructive. Okay? Our moon phase is in the waxing phase, which means we're heading up towards the full moon. We're 10% of the way there. The Mayan Oracle, we're at a 10-tone day. Our position is here. The kin for today is the warrior. The question mark indicates what the warrior is about. The warrior asks questions. The warrior uses intelligence so as not to get into a physical altercation. To use intelligence and ask questions to be able to reach a conclusion without having to go into some sort of a fight. Intelligence is very important. You've heard the idea that we're in an information war. Therefore, the intelligence of the warrior is very important. The seed is the guide for today. Planting a seed, allowing it to grow and flower. That's what seeds are all about. You plant a seed, watch it grow. So today we have a planetary warrior guided by the seed. Here we have the supporting cast members. We have the World Bridger is the challenge for today. Right here, the Knight is the like-minded energy of the day, and our hidden power is the Serpent or the life force, survival instinct energy. Our phrase for today is I perfect in order to question, producing fearlessness. I seal the output of intelligence with the planetary tone of manifestation. I am guided by the power of flowering. Over at space weather, the solar wind at the moment is 350.8 kilometers per second. Our planetary K index is back up to a 2. It had gone from a 3, then yesterday it was down to a 0. Now we're back up to a 2. So we've got a little bit of activity going on. We'd see our coronal hole here, and as the sun is moving, the coronal hole is moving from left to right, and we could see it's a little bit smaller than it was the other day. Still sending wind out into the cosmos. Will it hit us? We'll find out. M-class flare possibilities drop down from 25 to 15%. X-class is still the same at 1. And geomagnetic storm activity is very, very low as well. Here is the Suspicious Observer report for today.
Good morning, folks. Mount Etna continues to be the most active volcano in Europe. For scale perspective, this is not slowed down, it's real time, just taking a long time for those rocks to travel the distances propelled by the volcano itself. Great shots here of embers against the night. Now north of that, winds topping 120 miles per hour ripped across the islands here. Scotland took the worst of it. We'll come back to weather in a moment, but first, Cassini's new shots of the hexagon north pole of Saturn. Not a new bit of data, but probably the most in-depth and detailed images. Those older Saturn shots can be found with the article below. The Starwater backup evidence seems to come out every day. This Ceres ice data reminded me of a similar article I read back in 2010 about the ice ball Pluto possibly having liquid oceans beneath. Most people don't even know Pluto is an ice ball. Every planet, every star, and in addition to the Starwater series on the website, every link and citation for all the best Starwater articles is nicely compiled at the links page of the website. So even if you're not an observer, you can still access all the facts and knowledge. Last Good Space article here describes the form of a gamma ray burst, how it would look from the side, and then again coming right at Earth. Really good gamma link there. Back to weather, the tropical development near Sumatra and India didn't materialize, but the rainmakers are still highly active in that region. Also watching what's trekking up the Atlantic, got eyes there. Tropical danger shows the Bay of Bengal, South China Sea, Indian Ocean, and West Pacific as the tropic watch zones in descending order of likelihood. As I sat on my porch yesterday in a t-shirt, thought I could hear all the observers west of me laughing about the weather I'd soon be seeing. Now the heat I enjoyed drove up the leading east edge of that low pressure convergence. However, the counterclockwise pull into the center drives the outer boundary winds into the inward converging winds from perpendicular or opposite directions. Temperature map now much clearer once you've looked at the wind map. Australia and New Zealand, I didn't forget about you, just got much easier going tonight. Might see some new showers tomorrow. New gamma burst last night. Came way down out of celestial south from the Carina constellation. We have slight rises visible on both the neutron and muon monitors, but it's actually following a slight dip, and even that rise doesn't take us out of normal range as we look in longer time scales. Cosmic rays steady as she goes. We have no major solar wind shocks, or minor ones for that matter. Minor variation in density and speed leaving the KP index near the floor, along with geomagnetic instability. Solar flaring is starting to come back a bit. They are only sea range and not Earth facing, and favoring the limb instead. Depressingly simple magnetics in such a large and morphing group here. Largest sea flare we've taken so far came from this one turning in. Appears to lack major sunspots, but as you'll see at the end, not lacking magnetic fields. The coronal magnetics were a puzzling feature the last 3 days. The coronal hole power, of course, is rising strongly as it turns away from our planet. As you can see, with that hole turning away, the mega filament up to the north of it has destabilized and released. It could give us a glancing blow, but it wouldn't be a big one. Best shots of our star since the SDO processing glitches? Eyes open. No fear, it's 6:50 a.m. Eastern Time, and that's the news. Be safe, everyone.
All right. Very good. So that's what you're dealing with out there today. All right. Today, what I want to get to is the topic of dimensions. What a dimension is. So this is a piece by alien scientists. It's been a while since I've played anything from alien scientists. Very informative gentleman, and lots of great information that he presents. He has a whole variety of videos on a variety of topics dealing with extraterrestrial technology. things of this nature, check out his channel. The link's right here from the video link. This piece here is called What Are Dimensions? Check this out. I think you're going to like it.
And there's a lot of confusion out there about dimensions and what they are. The purpose of this video is to go over dimensions and separate the comic book influenced fiction from the physical and metaphysical reality. Now, at the most basic level of human understanding, you have the physical dimensions and the metaphysical dimensions, or dimensions of perceived reality. Since the way we understand and interpret the world around us can be influenced in so many ways through education, the mass media, etc., it becomes increasingly difficult for our perceived reality to be in total agreement with the actual reality. There's three sides to every story, right? Yours, mine, and the truth. We've all heard the cliche. The idea is that we each create our own version of reality based on how we have learned to perceive the world around us. We often distort reality either through inexperience or ingrained mental patterns, which amount to nothing more than psychological limitations manifested from our inclination to believe only what we are comfortable with or what seems true to us. Think of your brain as a knowledge tree which has its roots founded in your perceived reality. The roots are basically your nervous system, which receives input from your five senses. The sun or illumination is like your thought patterns, and your knowledge tree will only grow new branches in the areas you study. But analogies only go so far. We are kind of like a tree in that our powers of understanding are limited by our powers of observation and perception. We only have 5 senses and not 25. However, people are much different than trees in that we are conscious entities. It's almost as if a separate world exists inside of our own heads, which is a mirror image of the real world outside as we see it through our own distorted lens. And this is the essence of the metaphysical dimensions, which are basically entire worlds that exist within the conscious mind of cognizant beings. Now let's talk about the physical dimensions. In physics, we have a classification or rank of mathematical objects, which is based on their dimensionality, or how they transform mathematically. We call these tensors. A tensor rank 0 is a scalar, which is just a number, which is just a point on a number line which stretches from negative infinity to positive infinity, creating what we call a dimension. A scalar, or tensor rank 0, is just a mathematical object which exists in a single dimension. When we add dimensions, our mathematical objects begin to transform differently. That is, basic mathematical rules such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division all change. A tensor rank 1 is a vector, which is a mathematical object that exists in 2 to 3 dimensions. The second dimension can effectively be thought of as a planar slice of the third dimension. But vector addition and subtraction are virtually identical to the rules of scalar addition and subtraction, in that you just break them down into the parts and treat the x, y, and z components as separate parts. However, vector multiplication and division rules are much more mathematically complex. But not as complex as when we get to the fourth dimension, because we've run out of spatial dimensions and thus have to create multiverses. In order to model these, we use what's called a tensor rank 2, or a tensor. All the mathematical objects are tensors of different rank, but we just refer to them as scalars, vectors. A tensor is this complex mathematical object which models things in fourth and higher dimensions, these so-called hyperdimensions, fourth and above. They're impossible to visualize in your head accurately because they are outside of the realm of physical manifestation, which is everything we observe in the third dimension. We live in the third dimension. Tensors of rank 2 and above are referred to all hyperdimensional mathematical objects, none of which I will discuss further in fear of losing half my audience. What I will discuss are the paradoxical and philosophical consequences of the universe in which we exist, and these dimensions. Your position in the fourth dimension is always now. The fourth dimension is time, which we can only look back into and not forward. And the only direction we can move in the fourth dimension is into the future. We can't move backward in time. This is because of how the fourth dimension is superposed on the complex plane with both real and imaginary parts through the act of conscious observation. when we open the box and take a look at Schrodinger's cat. That's quantum mechanics. You can study that a little bit more in detail to understand what I'm talking about here. But in the physical world, we can only move forward in time. Traveling back in time violates every known law of physics, as well as creates all sort of paradoxes for a thought experiment, just thinking about going back in time. But in the metaphysical world, the world of a perceived reality, we can only observe the past and may use it to imagine or predict the future, but we can never actually observe the future until it happens. So we basically have the observed world and the real world, and they're separated into both their real and imaginary parts. Kind of cool. So you see, the hyperdimensions are kind of like a bridge between the physical and the metaphysical. The hyperdimensions extend into complex space, which has both real and imaginary components. Now let's talk a little bit about what this means mathematically. Einstein's equations of relativity point out that the speed of light is just a conversion factor, like meters to inches or pounds to kilograms, except that it converts a distance to a time. Basically, you take the smallest distance possible in the shortest time possible, the quanta, and you set them both equal to 1. Space and time actually connect at the quantum level. It's called Planck's constant, and you can set that equal to 1 as well, and it makes some interesting equations for quantum mechanics that were found by Paul Adrien Maurice Dirac. You can look up Dirac's equations. He set all these quantum numbers equal to 1, and that's how he came up with the theory of antiparticles and everything else. But in addition to the speed of light, there's one more conversion factor involved in Einstein's equations for relativity, which shows the mathematical relation between space and time, between, how the fourth dimension fits in. And this is called I. It's always italicized, and I equals the square root of -1. Now what this means and why it's important will become apparent in just a second, hopefully. In your school-taught arithmetic, you've always been told that you can't divide by 0, and you can't take the square root of a negative number, because the result you get when you try to do either of these things on a calculator or with your standard mathematics don't make any sense, until you find a better way to analyze what is going on. Because we can't normally take the square root of a negative number, but we can assume that the rules would be the same as it is for taking the square root of a positive number, we create this imaginary number called I, and we say it's equal to the square root of -1. We tack this algebraic term on the side and carry on with our mathematics. So to take the square root of a negative number, we just take the square root of a number if it were positive and then multiply it by I, which is the square root of -1. However, some interesting things start to happen when you begin playing around with these imaginary numbers. In normal mathematics, any number multiplied by itself is always positive, but in our square root of -1 minus world, so to speak, system of things are reversed, because I times I equals -1. Anytime you multiply an imaginary number by itself or by another imaginary number, the result you get is always negative number. So, a complex number has both real and imaginary parts. Complex geometry is based on a real axis and an imaginary axis. The Mandelbrot set, which forms fractals, which are those complex mathematical objects, they're plotted on the complex plane, and in order to do this they use a reciprocating function which is chaotic in nature. But mathematicians have found that all chaotic functions show higher order symmetries. Sometimes you have to make 10 billion calculations before you begin to see a repetition, but nonetheless, order will always emerge from chaos. Chaos itself is simply a manifestation of hyperdimensional order that appears random when viewed from a subdimension. So that's why it appears chaotic to us, because we can't immediately recognize its hyperdimensional patterning and order. And that, my friends, is where I will end this introduction to dimensions. Of course, at the end of all my videos, I have to tie it all in with aliens, so let's just talk about the possibility that these aliens are interdimensional beings. Now, I don't doubt that aliens have mastered physics and can bend space-time and whatnot. We've already proven that. But are they really us in the future, traveling back in time? Scientifically, I find it 1 billion times more likely that these are beings from somewhere else in the galaxy traveling here to visit us from somewhere else inside of our own universe. They didn't come from another multiverse. They didn't travel back in time. They didn't create they would have, there's so many violations of the laws of physics and paradoxes that are created from traveling back in time. It's just, I can't possibly believe it or wrap my head around it or understand it in any framework of anything that I've learned. So as far as science, the science that I learned is concerned, these are not interdimensional beings, unless you're talking about the fact that they came from a completely different reality than we do. So thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. Don't forget to rate 5 stars and subscribe.
All right, there you go. A little introduction to what dimensions are. I do want to add in aliens in the stories we know, the Pleiadians, they talk about how they've come from future into the past. We can't look at them and we can't say that based on the science that we understand down here on Earth is applicable to them, because obviously they are working at a different level and degree of science than we are. We don't have the understandings that they have to be able to travel the way that they do around the universe and the spaceships and so on. So at this point in time, we have the stories simply to go by. And we have lots and lots of stories and recordings and information that lets us know that they do travel back and forth through dimensions, through time, and just like NASA doesn't have all the answers, Earthlings don't have all the answers either. We need to understand that once we get past the bounds of Earth, there are different rules and different laws that are out there that affect other dimensions and other planets. And we can't just say, based on our knowledge down here, that that's how it works up there and they're limited to that. That would be absolutely ludicrous and a mistake on our part, I believe. So there you go. That is that. UFO News is up next. I'll be right back.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk. Thank you very much. Today I have 6 stories, so let's get to them. Story number 1, this is over Guanajuato, Mexico. This is a whole group of them. And I think that I put this one up here before. I want to show you again, just to show the large groupings there. Look at this. Is this real? Is this not real? Not sure, but that's the sighting that was captured. Alright, that's a lot. How many of them are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yep, 12 of them flying there together. Maybe a 13th one that was down lower. Alright, let's move on from there to the next one. This is over Sunnyvale, California. Interesting video footage of a bright UFO recorded in the night sky above Sunnyvale, California on the 28th of November. 6:50 Pacific Standard Time, the 28th, we spotted a cluster of about 12 blue lights moving in a line across the sky from west to east. I ran to get my camera, but by the time the lights were gone, about 15 minutes later, another blue light appeared, again moving west to east. Okay, there we go up there. And recall that, he said that there were 12 of them that he saw, and the last one we just saw 12. Are these the same things, just now changing color? I don't know. Alright, let's move from that one. Our next one comes to us from Prague, Minnesota. New Prague, Minnesota. These are multiple glowing lights in the night sky above New Prague, Minnesota on the 30th. These orbs outside my house, saw these lights outside my house with a friend and filmed. They changed direction and vanished. Lights did not flash or blink and made no noise. And we see 2 objects. Well, there's actually 1, 2, 3. They possibly look like they're part of one large object, maybe the ends of a triangle. Could be the way it's sort of situated. They're not really, they all seem to be moving together as he's moving the camera around. So check out the link, see what you think. Next we're going to go from there up to Mars. And here on Mars there's an object there. Look at that object. Does that object look like something that was made by someone? Or do you think that's just a natural rock? Here we have what looks like an obvious square with a circle in the middle, and here's a triangle. Sure, I've reported the structure before, but this is the best video and explanation of what I have seen. Take a look and tell us what you think in the comments below. Ladies and gentlemen, here is one to boggle the mind. This is right by the three-sided pyramid I showed you a few videos ago. Mars on Earth. So this is a longer video, 11 minutes in length. Let me jump. Basically, it's the same thing. Okay? It's the same thing in this video that I was just showing you. So I'm going to move on. Up on Mars here we also have something else. Next is on Eros. Alien structures on Eros. Look at this. Again, objects that don't look like they are just natural objects that were created. They look like they were some sort of manufactured object. Here we have a square or a rectangle and then a smaller rectangle. Look at the alien structure on the surface of an asteroid called 433 Eros. The structure consists of two rectangle-shaped buildings side by side. The structure's surface is a different color and reflectivity than that of its surroundings, so it looks to be made of a type of metal. Now in the news recently, many companies have been wanting to go and harvest minerals from asteroids and bring them back to Earth. I believe these companies are actually the U.S. government working in secret to get alien structures in hopes to attain alien technology and maybe even a U.S. military off-world base. So, if that's correct, is he saying that our governments are wanting to go and break into these structures? So basically, our corrupt government wants to go out and take their corruption into the universe to break into these corrupt structures and steal from them? Certainly seems like that's part of the case. Certainly seems. Okay, U.S. government holds hearing this week in Extraterrestrials. The Committee on Science, Space, and Technology, chaired by Representative Lamar Smith of Texas, met 2-hour hearing titled Astrobiology, Search for Biosignatures in Our Solar System and Beyond. The hearing charter outlined the hearing's goal, describing the purpose of this hearing is to examine astrobiology research and the search for biosignatures in our solar system and beyond. The hearing will include a general assessment of the multi- and interdisciplinary nature of astrobiology research, including the role astrobiology plays in formulating NASA space missions. It will also examine the techniques and capabilities necessary to determine the potential for the existence of biosignatures within our solar system. With the discovery of potential Earth-like planets outside our solar system, the hearing will also investigate what methods are being used to determine if any of these planets may harbor life. The hearing will explore existing and planned astrobiology research strategies and roadmaps. And a list of science that are involved with it. We have Dr. Mary Wojtek, Senior Scientist for Astrobiology, Planetary Science Division of NASA. Dr. Sarah Seeger, Class of 1941, Professor of Physics and Planetary Science of MIT. And Dr. Stephen Dick Barack S. Bloomberg, Chair of Astrobiology, John W. Clune Center, Library of Congress. So, you can see that we have some government agencies that are involved here. And when you have government agencies involved with presenting information, well, unfortunately, truthfulness doesn't always make itself out of there. We'll see what may happen here and how this all works itself out. Rob Sarzik recently had the chance to sit down with Marie D. Jones, author of the book From Future and Viral Mythology, to discuss the possibility of human time travel and the possible link to the ancient alien theory. The growing popularity of History Channel series Ancient Aliens has led to some interesting speculations about what or who may have once visited our ancestors, imparting knowledge and technological advancement that leads to leaps and bounds in human development. Originally, the concept of ancient aliens or ancient astronauts pointed to extraterrestrial intervention occurring thousands of years ago, and possibly even a little genetic intervention as well. The ancient astronaut theory posits that our ancestors experienced these huge leaps forward in advancement of science, astronomical, technological, and medical knowledge that they could simply not have happened on their own. We must have had some help from above, from entities far more intelligent and involved than we are. So there's a lot more to this article. But again, this kind of plays into the whole idea, exactly into the idea of the time travel. That we can't look at extraterrestrials and how they are moving around, and we can't relate them to what we know here on Earth. We can't, because there's a different science. Once we get to the point where we can go back and forth into the stars and do some of the things that these ships can, then we can start to say that we understand. But for us to say that we don't believe that these things can occur because it doesn't match with our science, well, that's kind of ludicrous. Because even NASA is understanding that they don't fully understand what's going on out there. We need to humble ourselves, especially in terms of the fact that here in the United States of America, the statistics that you saw the other day, how far down we are in math, in reading, and science. We're not tops of anything. In science, we're 24th. That means there's 23 other countries better at science than the United States of America. We're 21st in math, or 31st in math. That means there's 30 other countries that are out there better in math than we are. And then reading, 21st, 20 other countries can read better than American. So we really can't be a country that says we're exceptional and we don't believe these things happen, because we're not smart enough as a whole to really be able to make that judgment. When we rise above being 31st in math, or rise above being 24th in science, then maybe we can start speaking to some of these things a little differently. But until that time, America really needs to humble itself and understand that we don't know as much as we think we do, and we need to pay attention and maybe learn something from these space brothers and sisters who have a little bit more expanded knowledge of this universe. If we humble ourselves, I think we'll learn more than if we actually stand in our egos on what we can't think would happen because it doesn't happen here on Earth. And one last piece from Dennis Balthazar. No shortage of UFO sightings. All one has to do is see the remains. There remains no shortage of UFO sightings around the world, is to look at a few websites such as Frank Warren's The UFO Chronicles, George Filer's NationalUFOCenter.com, or Errol Bruce Knapp's UFOUpdatesList.com, to mention three of my favorites. On these sites and others, sightings from other world are documented pertaining to current sightings as well as previous ones. There is no shortage of what is being seen in the skies by common people and professionals that in some cases defy anything we or any other country on the earth have developed. During the past 50 to 60 years, several countries have made advancements in aircraft and have developed, but no country on earth has accomplished maneuverability that some of these craft being seen possessed. More to the article. I'm going to leave that to you because it's time for us to move on. That is our UFO news for today. Stay tuned. I have a lot more news you're going to want to hear. I'll be right back.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
All right, continuing on. All right, let's get through a bunch of these things here. First thing, as you know, the other day the Sandy Hook calls were released. Oh boy. Now I know everybody wants to believe that this is going to be all the truth, but they hide things in there. Of course, there's going to be things that are going to be released that people will be able to see that there was something more going on. But you have to understand there's also going to be a lot that's going to be doctored in there. Okay? Our government is not about putting out the truth. If that was the case, there wouldn't be so many people being incarcerated for standing up for the truth. There wouldn't be so much of this attack on those who are standing up for the freedoms and the truths of our Constitution. So we're not about the truths. There's false flag events that happen all the time. There's staged events that happen all the time. Sandy Hook appears to be one of those, unfortunately. Now, many people have fallen for the story, but there's so many holes in this story that just don't make any sense. Let me play this for you. I think you'll find some of this interesting. I'm probably going to skip through some of it here, but let's go.
And so, after almost a year, we get the 911 calls released from the Sandy Hook Newtown massacre. A lot of parents are saying, we don't want the 911 calls released because it's going to cause anguish. Anguish? Oh, well, I have a simple plan for you Go sit your tail down somewhere. If you don't want to watch the video, then don't watch it. Or if you don't want to hear the audio, then don't click on it. It's pretty simple. But I'm going to be tempted to listen to it. Why would you be tempted to listen to it, huh? Why would you be tempted to relive the moment? That doesn't make any sense. So that is the simple solution for that. Sandy Hook 911 calls. Nope, I'm doing it wrong. Wait a minute. Here we go. Get ready, everybody, for the bone-chilling 911 calls. Because you know that's how they're going to say it. Article right, cha. Article right, cha. Article. Look at this. This is the only evidence we got. Kids running out. What is this? A classroom? That's the only evidence we got of a exodus from the school.
Okay, what I want to do is I'm going to jump ahead here to a point in this video where they start playing. This is the part I want you to hear. Okay, listen carefully as it comes up. You're going to hear a woman. Well, listen up. You'll hear.
Let's get one caller. I'll take my caller. You. All right.
See, I think this is just to make the cops look good, make it seem like, oh, they had it under control. So we're supposed to clap for the cops. Everybody clap for the cops. Take this time, clap for them. All right, enough of that.
I'm talking with right now. Pardon me? What's your name?
Rick Thorne.
Rick Storm, all right. Rick what is your position with the school?
I'm acting head custodian today.
Okay.
Newtown, what's the address of the school?
12 Dickinson Drive.
Okay.
Something's happening.
Okay. Jen, hang up. I need you to get off that phone. All right, Rick.
All right, did you just hear that? This woman in the background was saying she heard that this was a rumor, that this was a fake. And then you have somebody telling her that she needs to get off the phone. Okay? That's all I'm going to play of this. I'm going to leave it to you. It's a 22-minute piece. Again, there's a big lie going on. A big lie. Remember, some of the children that they said that had died in there, one of them happened to be a couple states away, and the mother, through Facebook, had to notify people that her child wasn't dead, and her child's picture was being used in this incident when her child didn't even go to that school. There's a lot of fraudulent things. There's a lot of satanic activity that seems to be taking place in Sandy Hook. I hope people aren't falling in for this lie, but again, they're pulling at the heartstrings. This is all about gun control and propaganda. There's an evil, evil, evil presence in the administration of the White House. An evil presence. And they are bound and determined to take away your rights. And if you're not paying attention and standing up for your rights, they're going to take them from you. This is just one of the cases. Now here's a piece here. It's called CIA Exposed, Traitors, Patriots, and Madmen. From the ashes of the dissolved Office of Strategic Services in 1947, the CIA was born. Shrouded in secrecy, the agency has operated within the shadows for 66 years. Only a few CIA officers such as Richard Helms, William Colby, and John Brennan have risen to the coveted position of Director of Central Intelligence. But this isn't their story. There are crimes and confessions of the analysts, contractors, interrogators, and officers of the CIA, from political assassinations to state-sponsored torture. This is the CIA story in their own words. Well, as you go through here, you're going to see one story after another. And as you go through, you're going to find out that there is something really strange going on. Right here, while operating under deep cover, Vernon Lynn engaged in domestic spying on anti-war Iowa State University students. Codenamed Operation Chaos, the CIA launched illegal program against U.S. citizens. In a documentary entitled Secrets of the CIA, Lynn admitted to mixing cement powder into the milk sent to secondary school in Havana. The CIA is state-sponsored terrorism association. You don't look at people as human beings. They're nothing but pieces on a chessboard. Well, there's more to this article. Go through, read it. You'll see they're not our friends either. The alphabet agencies are not the friends. It's unfortunate that there are so many organizations in America that have turned their back on American citizens. But that's where we're at these days. Now, this piece I'm going to play for you, I played this piece from Josie Outlaw the other day. I played one of her pieces. This is another one. She's put these videos out just at the beginning of the month, and they have just been a big hit. They've gone viral. They're getting lots of attention. Want to play this one? This is very important. Listen to this, Americans. Listen to this. This is so important, what she's having to say. Very well spoken, very well put together. Here we go.
You know that something is horribly wrong in this country and all over the world. And if you're paying any attention at all, you know it's getting worse. The privacy and freedoms you once took for granted have been taken from you without your permission. And in return, you've been given the false promise of safety. But safety from what? And from whom? The only real threat is coming from the people in power, those who pretend that they're protecting you. More and more frequently, peaceful citizens are being beaten, tasered, and shot by police for the most trivial of offenses. And we stand by and watch. Soon enough it's forgotten about, and rarely is there any kind of punishment or retribution of any kind against the uniformed attackers. Some are even hailed as heroes for attacking these innocents. So it happens again and again, until it becomes normal for you to fear going a couple miles over the speed limit for fear of being brutalized. Why should this surprise you? This is nothing new. As has happened over and over again throughout history, our society is becoming desensitized to being oppressed. And that means a terrifying future for our children and their children. It's not okay to see injustice and let it go. But people do it every day because they think it doesn't affect them. It does. Like a schoolyard bully who is allowed to terrorize and assault the other children, if that behavior is not addressed and immediately corrected, it will continue. So how do we correct it? First, we speak out when we see injustice happening. Call attention to it. Once the first person speaks up, others tend to follow suit. Be that first person. Make it clear that you will use whatever means necessary to protect the innocent. It's okay to push back. It's okay to be angry, and it's okay to be aggressive in defending not only your own rights, but the rights of others. Don't fool yourself into thinking that keeping quiet and doing as you're told, passively allowing the rights of others, the livelihoods of others, and the future of humanity to be destroyed in this way will keep trouble from landing on your doorstep. And it isn't much better to sit on the sidelines crying for change, instead of taking it upon yourself to make that change happen. People have to pick their battles. The goal here is not martyrdom. But if you will never resist, if you are never willing to forcibly defend yourself or your fellow man, if you will never draw a line and say, "This I will not allow," then you have already lost. You are already a defeated and conquered slave. Look at the societies where everyone minded his own business, tried not to make waves, and didn't resist. How did that turn out for them? This country is headed down the same destructive path. If that's okay with you, then just remain silent. Just go with the flow and do as you're told. If that's not okay with you, then disobey and resist. If someone was threatening the safety of your own child or someone else dear to you, wouldn't you aggressively defend them? Some say you gotta look out for number one, and that's true to a point. However, it has been the courage of the selfless, those willing to put themselves in harm's way to defend others, who have pushed humanity forward. The world has already had enough examples of quiet cowards, passively looking on as their fellow human beings were oppressed, tortured, brutalized, and murdered. The defenseless need to be defended. Mothers who endure the pain and sacrifice of bringing a child into the world and putting the child's happiness and survival above their own is the only reason the human race exists. If you're one of those who intend to make a difference in the world, if you consider yourself an activist, then it's your job to act as the mother of humanity. So protect your children against predators by any means necessary. A mother bear doesn't ask a predator not to eat her baby. She stops it from doing so using defensive force. Often the mere threat of force is enough to stop an attacker in his tracks. To understand this is vital. This means it is possible to lead a non-violent resistance. simply by letting it be known that we will not stand by and let another person be harmed. In the wild, the predators pick out the weak of the herd because it's safe. The human predators treat the human herd the same way, targeting one person at a time as the rest of the flock stands idly by watching. It's high time the good people stopped allowing the weak and helpless to be picked off one at a time by parasites and predators, including the parasites and predators who wear badges and uniforms. If tomorrow you are the target of the power-happy thugs of the world, you will want more than anything for others to stand up with you, to protect you and defend you. But tomorrow you will not deserve to have anyone stand up for you if you do not stand up now for those whom the predators are victimizing today. It's time we dig our heels in and let it be known that we will not be beaten down. We will not stand by and watch. We will resist, and we will not give up.
All right, there you go. Very important, friends. We have to stand up. This government, the governments around the world, they're tearing this country apart. If we don't stand up for this country, the children's children, they're not going to have a world to live in. They're not going to have the same freedoms that you enjoyed growing up. Now is a time it's crucial for every single parent, every single adult that's out there to take action against this tyrannical government. They are committing treason in that White House every single day. And as long as people continue to turn a blind eye to it, they will continue to do so. Those traitors need to be in jail. They don't need to be out there making more laws and restricting more freedoms. It's horrible. Horrible. Now there's one thing I want to bring up. I want to show you this here. I want you to take some action on this because this is something that's disappointing. You know, I like football. I like the NFL and watch what's going on, but I don't like to watch, and I've been a fan for many years, but I don't like what's going on these days. They've become a propaganda arm for the government. They're being used by the United States government. Recently, they banned a pro-Second Amendment ad, but they have no problem allowing one of their commentators to go on and speak against the Second Amendment. In doing so, they are willingly participating in the treasonous activities of this tyrannical government. Therefore, there is a national boycott going on against the NFL that's being organized. Perhaps then they will get the message that it is their fans that have made them who they are, and that they shouldn't subject their fans to these TSA searches. They shouldn't subject their fans to all of the nonsense of this propaganda that's being put out by this organization called the thuggery organization of the American government. Shouldn't happen. So what you can do is very simple. This is the phone number to the NFL. 212-450-2000. Call them. Call them today and tell them that you do not agree with what they're doing, that you are disappointed in their policies, that you will participate in a boycott of their activities until they change their ways. And if enough people call in and if enough people do this, perhaps they will get the message. Person turns on football, they shouldn't have to watch Jackass Obama giving an Obamacare speech. They shouldn't have to listen to all of this nonsense. They shouldn't have to listen to idiots on there talking against the Constitution. It's not right. And the NFL, if they're falling for that, then they're just a bunch of cowards. And no one needs to watch a bunch of cowards. So again, 212-450-2000. Call them today and tell them you're disappointed in them. And tell them to stop defending the traitors and get on this board with the American people. All right. Now, when there's something good out there and someone does something right, I want to mention that. And this is one that has got a lot of people floored. Al Sharpton actually did the right thing. Al Sharpton, who we've known has been out as a race baiter for many, many years, has actually come out dismissing this knockout game. He calls it racist, outrageous, and said action should not and will not be tolerated. Well, we've been waiting for this a long time. Thank you, Al Sharpton, for finally stepping up and saying and doing the right thing. We appreciate that. Because unfortunately, as we have seen, it's been many, many African Americans that have been involved with this sick game that's going on. And so as a representative of them, we appreciate the fact that you actually spoke up and said something. So we thank you. We need to stop this. It doesn't matter what skin color you are. It's wrong. It's wrong to be out there attacking innocent people. So thank you for speaking up. And yes, he said something right. Maybe this is an indication we are in the end times. Maybe this is an indication that hell is partially froze over. Whatever the case may be, we'll take it. If he's at least speaking up, it's better than him continuing to spout racist nonsense. So this is a good thing. Just thought I'd bring that up. Now, I'm going to switch gears here. This is a piece I want to show you. It's a crop circle formation. And this crop circle formation, as you could see here, it's this is information about free energy. But this crop circle, as you will see here, all right, there's the crop circle. There's all the points of energy. I'm going to leave the video for you to watch it. But what I'm going to skip through in each one here, and as I jump here, and it gives the breakdown of what this is all about and how this works and what it could be about. I want you to see here at the end someplace where this image, where this shape, where this geometry has been put into play. Oh, look at that. Watch it transition from there. Look at that. The Hadron Collider. So it would appear that they've taken the technology, the ideas of these crop circles, and are putting them together. Putting them together and creating something, okay? So again, there's a comparison right there. See the 8 points here. You got the 8 points there. Someone understands the importance of these things as putting them into practice, putting them into reality. So we need to just be aware of what's going on. That when people are dismissing the crop circles and saying, ha ha ha, don't look at them, there are those who are studying the scientific aspects that are studying them very seriously. Now again, here's another story that shows that we don't really know all of our history because we've got a new human origins dating back to 400,000 years. Scientists have found the oldest DNA evidence yet of humans' biological history, but instead of neatly clarifying human evolution, its finding is adding new mysteries. In a paper in the journal Nature, scientists reported Wednesday that they had retrieved ancient human DNA from a fossil dating back 400,000 years, shattering the previous record of 100,000 years. The fossil, a thigh bone found in Spain, had previously seemed to be under to many experts to belong to a forerunner of Neanderthals, but its DNA tells a very different story. It closely resembles DNA from an enigmatic line of humans known as Denisovans. Until now, Denisovans were only from the DNA retrieval from an 80,000-year-old remains in Siberia, 4,000 miles east of where the new DNA was found. The mismatch between the anatomical and genetic evidence surprised the scientists who are now rethinking human evolution over the past few 100,000 years. It is possible, for example, that there are many extinct human populations that scientists have yet to discover. They may have interbred, swapped DNA. Scientists hope that further studies of extremely ancient human DNA will clarify the mystery. So this is obviously a good time for science, but it's obviously time for most people to realize, again, they don't have all the answers. The information that was in the textbooks are proving themselves to be incorrect. NASA's putting out statements that things are happening in the solar system that they don't understand. Comets, planets are behaving differently than they thought that they would. Now we're finding bones that are older than we thought. Humans aren't as smart as they think. That's why we need to humble ourselves, to pay more attention to what's going on, because there's something much bigger out there than we realize what is going on. Something much, much bigger. The only way to really understand that is you got to get in good with God. Get good with God. That's how you're going to understand. It's not about understanding the sciences on the earth for the sake of understanding the sciences, because there's so much more that's outside the earth. We have a limited perception. It's like Earth being kindergarten, and all these other class planets and stars and things up there are higher educational grades. Kindergarten doesn't understand the same things as a senior in high school or a senior in college understands, so we can't possibly as kindergartners say that we understand the same thing extraterrestrials are doing. Especially when we talk about things like moving through dimensions and so on. We have no clue of what they're doing, because this is kindergarten, and those are the higher educational levels. We need to understand that. We need not to be so proud about who we are and what we think we know, because in the big picture, we really don't know all that we think we do. All right, here is the Galactic Federation of Light message from Jesus. Here we go.
Jesus, focus your attention on the reality of God's love for you.
December 1st, 2013, by John Smallman.
We love you and always will because we are all one, loving each other eternally as our dear Father does, as He wills us to do likewise. He is the source from which all flows in one infinite and eternal stream of love. He is beyond comprehension, and yet we know that His love embraces us in every moment, and that nothing else is possible. That is what we experience and know in every moment, eternally, constantly, because that is all that there is. Love is all that exists, and in it everything has its place, every iota of consciousness, all life. There is no outside or beyond, all is here within the oneness and perfect harmony that is the source which inevitably and unavoidably includes all that is created. The illusory environment that was built to experience separation from the source is illusory, but because those who built it wanted it to appear very real, it does, frequently very painfully so. Outside the illusion there is no pain, no suffering, no anxiety, no worry, no fear, no anger, because those are all aspects of the illusion, aspects of unreality. It seems vast to you, universe upon universe, but in truth it is nothing, and when you awaken, as you cannot avoid doing, that will become immediately fully apparent. You have just been playing games, having unreal experiences to demonstrate what separation might be like if it was possible for it to occur, but of course it could not. The vast majority of you have had more than enough of game playing and will only to awaken, and the human collective has endorsed and joined with that intent. Without your will and intent to maintain it, the illusion will disintegrate, dissolve, disappear, and be gone. It was only a very temporary illustration or representation of what might occur if separation was possible and could be experienced. A momentary idea that could not be supported because it was utterly beyond the bounds of possibility. God is love, as you very well know, and anything not in alignment with love is impossible. The idea of non-alignment or opposition to love cannot be extended, enlarged on, or developed in any way because such a state is impossible. Love is, end of story. Focus your attention on the reality of God's love for you, and release your grasp or focus on the illusion and all the pain and suffering that it appears so effectively to produce. Your bodies are part of an aspect of the illusion, an essential part of experiencing separation. The more you can realize this and choose to focus on love, on reality, by entering more fully and more frequently into your inner space of peace and tranquility, the less suffering they will bring to your awareness, to your attention, and attempt to make a part of you. You will observe suffering, conflict, and sadness because others are choosing to experience it, and you will be able to offer compassion, comfort, and support without getting drawn into the pain and thereby making it seem real. You have the power to dissolve the illusion, and that is what you are in the process of doing, so keep holding that intent and keep reminding yourselves that it is your intent when you find yourselves being drawn back into unreality. Reality is your eternal home, the home that you never left, and it is time for you to awaken from your unhappy dream of unreality, pain, conflict, and suffering, and once more enjoy reality. You intend to awaken, you have always held that intent, but you have, as it were, put it on the long finger, in the no-rush tray. Now is the time to attend to it, to focus your attention there until completion occurs. As you are constantly being advised by those in the spiritual realms, you have unlimited assistance in this, but you do have to constantly reaffirm the intention because the environment that the illusion supports enticingly encourages forgetfulness of all that is spiritual, real. The distraction of everyday life as a human can be all-consuming if you allow it, so focus on disengaging from the constant train of worrying, anxiety-making, or disturbing thoughts that fill your mind to the exclusion of what truly matters. Has your worrying solved any problems? Has it brought world peace, abundance for all, an end to corruption? The list of your worries is endless, and focusing on them, as you well know, achieves nothing. But focusing on them does close your mind to love because they are not in alignment with it. Most of you have had experiences when something beautiful caught and held your attention, causing all worldly distractions to fall away, and you experienced a few moments of intense stillness, peace, even love. An experience such as that is an approach to reality. Smell the roses, even if the house is burning down. It is essential to go within and sit with your spiritual guides and mentors daily, quietly listening with the distractions of your restless mind subtly quietened if not fully stilled. A sense of peace will come over you, probably not total, but a vast improvement from the non-stop constant mind chatter that so many of you experience, and you will find yourselves able to discard a lot of the noisy distractions that normally fill your mind. It will enable you to see more clearly that just being alive is an incredible gift because you become conscious that the worries and anxieties so often filling your minds are distractions from the love that always envelopes you. You will feel that love, even if only momentarily, and it will uplift, strengthen, and inspire you as you continue your divine task of holding the intent for humanity to awaken, and you will make it happen. You cannot fail because in this your will is perfectly in alignment with God's. Your loving brother, Jesus.
Alright, very nice message. Indeed. Let's just look and see what the angel message is for today. The worst is over, the best is yet to come. Trust and be loving to yourself and those around you. That's an awesome message. The worst is over, the best is yet to come. That's what we have to just keep believing, and we can manifest that into reality simply by believing it. Let's go to our meditation for today. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Take another deep breath. Exhale again. Activate all of your chakras. Bottom of the spine red, top of the head violet. Imagine the energies being drawn in above from the cosmos and down below to that root chakra from the ground. And now imagine two energies moving slowly towards the middle. The chakra from the head moves down to the third eye where it changes to the color indigo. And the chakra from the bottom moves up from the red position to the navel, and there you see orange. It continues up from there to the yellow color chakra right into solar plex. You see yellow in the throat, and the chakra from the third eye moves down to the throat where you see the color blue. And then both meet right in the heart space, and you see the color green. And see that green color from the heart chakra of love. See it fill your body. Allow it to overflow and spill throughout the room that you're in, filling the room with love. And then allowing that love to expand outward further into your neighborhood, into the city, to the state that you live in, the country you live in, and finally around the entire world. Imagine this love going through and making a transformation in each and every individual that it touches. Some who allow this love and accept this love into this life, it changes their lives in beautiful ways and allows them to step into the next realm of their consciousness. And those who are resistant to this love find the challenges of this energy tears them apart, pulls all of the negativities and fears and doubts out of them, and changes them either into a new person who is willing to express love or completely destroys them and recycles their energy back into the universe. Let's imagine seeing the energy of all of those souls resistant to love. Let's imagine their energy being dissipated as those souls are completely dissipated and removed from planet Earth. And let's imagine their energy going out to be recycled by love into love. And let us be grateful that love has made this transformation on this planet. Let us be grateful that love has removed the doubts and the fears, the wickedness, and the ungodliness. Let's imagine the world filled with millions and millions of beings that simply want to express love and make this world the place that we are destined to be, a place of love, of peace, of harmony. Let us imagine this and know that this is a reality. This is our destiny. And as we imagine it so, we bring it into manifestation. And even yet, we understand that not only do we bring it into manifestation, but we simply allow that to emerge, which has always been there. For love is the absolute truth that exists in all things. And when we move past the illusions of all that is clouding the vision of love, we expand beyond our wildest dreams. So let's just imagine love and just send out love, send out love, send out love. Love to change the hearts of those who need to be changed. Love to help heal those that need to be healed. So let's just imagine this love, and as our subconscious mind continues out into the world, let's imagine sending love subconsciously to everyone we meet. And as our conscious mind goes out into the world, let us consciously send love to each and every individual that we meet. Unconditional love, no expectations, just simply to go out to put a good vibe into the air, because that is what we are here to do, to share this love and this positivity. So let's imagine that love going out into the world and keep sending that into the world. And let's bring our attention back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale, and open your eyes. That's it, my friends. Thank you very much for being here today. Just keep focusing on love and sending this love around the planet. It's going to make all the difference in the world. I'll be back tomorrow. Have an awesome day. I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.